In 2026, a motorcycle company went back to the town that buried it. Redditch, Worcestershire, England. The town where Royal Enfield was born in 1901. The town that closed its factory in 1967 and dissolved the company in 1971. The company that came back to celebrate its 125th anniversary was not British. It was Indian, headquartered in Chennai, listed on the NSE as part of Eicher Motors, the world's largest manufacturer of mid-sized motorcycles. And Eicher Motors stock has returned 32% compounded annually for 26 years. That number is not a typo. We will come back to it. First, the story. Royal Enfield started in Redditch, England in 1890. Bicycles first, then motorcycles. They chose a motto that said everything. Made like a gun, goes like a bullet. In World War I, they supplied motorcycles to the British Armed Forces. In World War II, they built the WDRE, a lightweight motorcycle light enough to be parachuted into battle with paratroopers. They called it the Flying Flea. An entire army rode on Royal Enfield machines. Then Japan entered the motorcycle market in the 1950s. Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki. Lighter, faster, more reliable, significantly cheaper. The entire British motorcycle industry, which had dominated the world for half a century, was dismantled model by model. Royal Enfield's Redditch factory closed in 1967. Production ended in 1970. The company dissolved in 1971. Britain had killed its own motorcycle industry. But India had already secured the future of the brand. In 1952, the Indian Army ordered 800 units of the Royal Enfield Bullet, 350 cubic centimeters, perfect for Himalayan border patrol, tough enough for Indian roads, simple enough for Indian mechanics in the field. In 1955, Enfield India opened a factory in Tiluvotiyur near Madras. By 1962, every component was being manufactured entirely in India. The British had come to sell a motorcycle. The Indians had learned to build it themselves. When Britain closed in 1971, India kept building. The Bullet 350 never stopped production, not once. It holds the longest continuous motorcycle production run in history. The same basic design in production since 1955. 70 years. The same thump, still being built, still being sold. But by the late 1980s, Enfield India had a problem. The Bullet design was 30 years old and unchanged. Sales were stagnating. The company was bleeding money. The motorcycle that had served the Indian Army was struggling to compete in a rapidly modernizing Indian market. Enfield India needed a rescuer. In February 1990, a company called Eicher Motors bought a 26% stake in Enfield India. Eicher was a tractor and commercial vehicle manufacturer, not a motorcycle brand, not a lifestyle company. A business that understood engineering and understood India. By 1993, Eicher had acquired 60%. By 1994, full ownership. Enfield India was renamed Royal Enfield Motors Limited. The British had given the name back. In death, they had no choice. But owning a struggling brand and reviving it are completely different things. Through the 1990s, Royal Enfield continued to bleed. Sales were small. Losses were real. The management changes had not translated into product changes. The Bullet was still the same machine it had been in 1955. 4 decades. Same engine, same vibrations, same oil leaks. Riders loved it for its character, but mechanics spent as much time fixing it as riding it. Then, in 1999, a 26-year-old man joined Eicher Group. and everything changed. His name was Siddhartha Lal, son of Vikram Lal, who had built Eicher Group. Educated at Delhi's St. Stephen's College, postgraduate engineering degree from Cranfield University in England, the same country that had buried Royal Enfield 30 years earlier. He had grown up around Eicher. He had grown up around motorcycles. And he understood something about Royal Enfield that nobody in the management had acted on. The brand was not broken. The product was. In 2000, Siddhartha Lal became managing director of Royal Enfield. He was 27 years old. What he found was a company making a motorcycle that riders loved and mechanics cursed. The bullet leaked oil. It vibrated excessively. The electrics were unreliable. These were not design flaws. The silhouette, the sound, the weight, the upright riding position were all perfect. These were engineering execution failures, problems that had solutions if someone cared enough to find them. Siddhartha Lal cared. He made one decision that changed the trajectory of the entire company. He did not chase volume. He did not expand the dealer network. He did not increase the marketing budget. He did not try to compete with Hero or Bajaj on price or on numbers. He fixed the motorcycle. The engine was re-engineered from first principles. Oil leaks eliminated. Vibration dramatically reduced. Electrics modernized. Fit and finish improved. The character, the thump, the weight, the classic lines was preserved completely. The soul stayed, the problems left. Then, in 2008, came the unit construction engine, a completely new engine, modern internals, dramatically improved reliability, better fuel efficiency, the same unmistakable bullet thump that riders had loved for 50 years, now in a machine that actually deserved that love. Royal Enfield was no longer the motorcycle you loved despite its flaws. It was the motorcycle you loved because of everything it was. Sales responded immediately and then compounded. In 2010, Royal Enfield sold approximately 40,000 motorcycles. In 2012, 1,50,000. In 2014, over 3 lakh. In 2015, over 5 lakh. In the financial year ending March 2026, Royal Enfield sold over 12 lakh motorcycles globally, its highest ever annual volume. In June 2026 alone, Royal Enfield sold 114,032 motorcycles in a single month, up 27% year-on-year. The world's largest manufacturer of mid-sized motorcycles, built in Chennai, headquartered in India. The brand that Britain abandoned. But Siddhartha Lal understood something deeper that the sales numbers alone cannot explain. He was not building a motorcycle company. He was building a movement. Royal Enfield riders do not just buy a motorcycle, they buy an identity, a community, a shared language. The Himalayan ride programs, the Rider Mania Festival that draws thousands of riders every year. The cafes and stores that feel like part of a tribe, not a showroom. The apparel and accessories that extend the brand into every part of a rider's life. When a brand owns a feeling, not just a category, it becomes very difficult to disrupt. Hero and Bajaj sell many more motorcycles than Royal Enfield, but no Hero or Bajaj rider feels the way a Royal Enfield rider feels. That gap between a transaction and an identity is what Siddhartha Lal built. And it is worth considerably more than the motorcycle itself. Royal Enfield expanded into Southeast Asia, Europe, Latin America, North America, 60 countries. The brand that once exported bullets back to a Britain that had nothing left is now selling to riders across the world who want exactly what Royal Enfield offers. A motorcycle with soul in a world full of machines without one. And in 2026, Royal Enfield launched its first electric motorcycle, the Flying Flea C6, priced at 2,79,000 rupees. Named after the legendary World War II parachute motorcycle, the brand that supplied the British Army in 1944 is now building electric motorcycles for the Indian market in 2026. Now the investor story. And this is where it gets extraordinary. Eicher Motors, the company that owns Royal Enfield, trades on the NSE. In January 2000, when Siddhartha Lal was about to begin the turnaround, Eicher Motors was trading at approximately 4 rupees and 80 paise per share. Let that sit. 4 rupees and 80 paise. Today, Eicher Motors trades at 7,563 rupees per share. Market cap approximately 2,07,000 crore rupees. 10,000 rupees invested in Eicher Motors in January 2000 is worth approximately 1.49 crore rupees today. That is a CAGR of 32.47% for 26 years. To put that in context, India's Sensex has returned approximately 14% compounded over the same period. Eicher Motors returned more than double the index, compounded annually for a quarter century. But here is what makes it even more remarkable.
In 2000, when Siddhartha Lal took over, Eicher Motors looked like a tractor company trying to save a failing motorcycle brand. The motorcycle was loss-making. The tractor and commercial vehicle business was the stable part. The market had no reason to believe Royal Enfield would become anything special. The investors who bought Eicher at 4 rupees and 80 paise in 2000 were not buying a motorcycle success story. They were buying a struggling tractor company that happened to own a struggling motorcycle brand. What they were actually buying, without knowing it, was Siddhartha Lal, a 27-year-old who understood that the brand was perfect and only the product needed fixing, who had the patience to fix it before chasing volume, who built a community around the product before building global distribution, who understood that Royal Enfield was not competing on price or specification, it was competing on feeling. 3 things the Royal Enfield story tells you as an investor. First, brand soul compounds differently from brand recognition. Hero and Bajaj sell far more motorcycles than Royal Enfield. But Royal Enfield commands a price premium that neither can match, because it sells something that cannot be replicated, a specific feeling, a specific identity, a specific sound. A competitor can copy the engine specifications. Nobody can copy the thump. Nobody can copy the community. Nobody can copy 70 years of unbroken production history. That is a moat built from time and emotion. Second, fix the product before chasing volume. Siddhartha Lal did not expand distribution or increase marketing before fixing the engine. He fixed what was broken first. The volume came automatically once the product deserved it. Every business that tries to grow before solving its core product problem eventually hits the same wall. Third, the best entry points always look like the worst bets. In 2000, buying Eicher Motors at 4 rupees and 80 paise looked like buying a struggling tractor conglomerate with a motorcycle problem nobody had solved in a decade. The motorcycle was still leaking oil. The losses were still real. The brand was beloved, but the business was broken. It turned 10,000 rupees into 1.49 crore rupees at a CAGR of 32.47% for 26 years. The investors who saw through the noise to the underlying asset, a brand with genuine emotional resonance, solvable engineering problems, and a passionate 27-year-old leader who understood both, made one of the great long-term bets in Indian market history. In 1901, Britain built the first Royal Enfield motorcycle. In 1955, India started building the same motorcycle. In 1967, Britain closed the factory. In 2000, a 27-year-old in Chennai fixed the engine. In 2026, India went back to Redditch to celebrate 125 years of the brand Britain abandoned. Britain buried it. India brought it home.